Dear friends, today is the Friday of the second week of Lent. We have the Gospel taken from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 21, verses from 33 to 43 and 45 and 46. Today, in the readings, we focus on one of the most difficult experiences of human life, rejection. We ponder the rejection of Joseph by his family members and of Jesus by his creatures. It's on occasion for us to ponder the many times in our lives we too have been rejected, especially these occasions that may sting the most. But in response to the terrible rejections of Joseph and Jesus, the responsorial psalm has us proclaim today repeatedly, remember the marvels the Lord has done. In the Gospel, Jesus, citing Psalm 118, says, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. By the Lord has this been done. It is wonderful in our eyes. The verse right after that is essential verse of Easter. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. To prepare ourselves in Lent for Easter, we must enter more deeply into the experience of the rejection we see through sin, of the envy that causes it, and how God not only seeks marvelously to take away our sins and forgive them, but to make them part of our salvation. The first reading from the book of Genesis, we see how Joseph, the future patriarch's brothers, were envious of him because he was their father Jacob's favorite. The fact that he loved Joseph the most didn't mean he didn't love the other brothers. But their envy led them not only to close themselves to the love of their father had for them, but also the love they should have for him. Their envy led them, as Genesis tells us, to hate Joseph so much that they would not even greet him. And that interior position or poison led them much further. When Joseph went out to help his brothers tend the flocks in Dothan, the brothers conspired to plan to murder him and toss his dead body into a cistern and then lie about it to their father by saying a wild beast had devoured him. Jesus describes that betrayal and the envy that led to it in today's gospel. Jesus spoke to the chief priests and the scribes in a parable about the way they had treated all the messengers God had sent them and how they were going to treat him. The prophets, Israel had often been referred as a vineyard planted by God. God had made the Israelites stewards of that vineyard, but expected a harvest when vintage time grew near. The prophets were the ones sent to remind them out of that yield of good deeds, but as Jesus said, one they beat, another they killed, and a third they stoned. Other prophets sent and maltreated the same way. Finally, God sent his son, but in prophetic tones that would be fulfilled in the cry of crucify him in Pontius Pilate. They shouted out, "This is the heir. Come, let us kill him and acquire his inheritance." They wanted to be owners, not stewards, and were prepared to kill in order to maintain their privileges. They wanted to be the ones in charge of the inheritance of faith, not God himself. The chief motivation behind the persecution of the prophets and the crucifixion of Jesus, it is implied, was envy. Envy that led to a hatred so much that resulted in homicide. As we reflect on this passage, let's also look into our lives and see what is my drawbacks or my sinfulness. Is it hatred or envy that is really disturbing? God bless.